Hello and welcome to Nerdrunners. I'm Mark, and joining me as ever is the man, the legend, the secret 8th Corset faction. It's Stef.
Hello, everybody. I like that. The secret 8th faction.
Yeah.
I'd clearly be a runner. I don't know what kind of runner I'd be.
Well, the original intro was going to be something around you couldn't be contained by the original Corset, so they had to make the mini factions for you, but I couldn't word it as eloquently as a secret 8th Corset faction.
How are you, Mark?
I'm very good, thank you. Aside from tube strikes making it impossible for me to get into work, but
you will live in, a place with underground transport.
I will.
See, for me, it's been overground problems of roadworks, because apparently the entire of the north is being dug up.
Is it being rebranded as North 2.0?
I have no idea. It should be, because I got stuck in traffic for about half an hour this morning, just stationary, and then took an old route on the way home, one that I never usually take, 'cause it's a bit longer. There was roadworks there.
Jeez.
Looked at the way in tomorrow, roadworks everywhere.
I get this feeling that there's just like this, van following you around, or like scouting you out, and just being like, alright, Steph's coming down the road, quick, set up the cones and get the pneumatic drill out.
At this point, my paranoia is actually agreeing with you. Oh, God.
Been up to anything exciting since last we spoke?
What have I done? I went on a stag do at the weekend. I did a little bit of quad biking. Turns out, as well, I'm a dab hand with a rifle.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
I know, everyone said that to me. It's like, I don't know whether that's a compliment or not.
Well, you look like the kind of guy who, has a good posture and pose for holding a rifle and, hitting a target.
I like how you're trying to get out of this.
Well, no, I can see you in like one of those big like hunting jackets, not necessarily astride a horse, but at least possibly like
at least near a horse.
Maybe near a horse and clay pigeon shooting.
Yes, that's what we were doing. We were doing clay pigeon shooting, and I did surprisingly well. So we got the wedding Saturday. Jesus, so yeah, it was a busy weekend.
Yeah,
and then Monday and Tuesday, I managed to get a little bit of Netrunner in, as well as my usual Jinteki nonsense. So I've actually had a few games in person. I'm slowly teaching my friends to appreciate it. I've got them hooked to the point that they're teaching people they know.
Oh, brilliant!
So yeah, it's. And that's the thing. I usually can't go to the York Meta meetup on Tuesdays, which I'll plug now because they need some love. But. Yeah, because I can't go to that, I try and play in whatever spare time I can kind of wangle.
Yeah.
So, teaching people I know and they're teaching people they know. We had about 6 people playing, which was quite nice, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of them are new, so one of my friends introduced me as the one who will kill you. I was like, well...
If you're playing that Jinteki deck, then yes, that is
my Julian Jinteki deck.
Oh.
So last week, I clarified this on Reddit. I think I clarified it on Reddit, but it was my Jinteki deck I talked about last week was a slight revision of Chuffbot's Fugu deck. I hadn't realised it was his deck, her deck, vegetable deck, until after the podcast.
Yeah.
So my revision, which kind of got rid of the false leads and put in some House of Knives and stuck in Tori Hanzo. I've called Julienne because Julienne is what you do to vegetables when you slice them really thinly. So it's a little bit of a nod towards Chuffbot's origins as my favourite vegetable, and also for the sheer amount of damage it can pump out.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
Especially with those knives that you keep flinging at people.
You were terrified.
Man, it's awful. Like, just the amount of stuff you put out. Like, usually in trap decks, the runner, the corporation has to be quite fairly poor to because they're often like, install advance, that leaves them on low credits because they want to keep installing and advancing stuff just to keep throwing as many traps out as possible. But then you're just like, you throw down like psychic fields and you don't have to put anything on them, and then it's like, my god, that could be a 3-1 agenda, and then celebrity gift, and you see all the mean things that are in your hand, and even the agendas are mean, and
I don't have celebrity gift in the deck.
They have celebrity gift?
No. I have a lot of side game ones, so the Future Perfects, which is probably what you think about because you kept seeing Future Perfects in the side game. It's like playing this with you and with Strangers Online and with people in person. I have not lost, I don't think.
Wow.
Did I lose to you?
No, you flatlined me.
Yeah. No, I genuinely don't think I've lost with it. It is and it's come back from some amazing things because people get sloppy.
Yeah.
I played a little bit earlier against the guy, and I was in trouble. I had a handful of agendas, so I had one future perfect in hand, one in the bin. He'd scored one. I had 3 fetal AIs and a house of knives, and I had 3 pieces of ice in front of HQ, which were it wasn't a house of knives. It was a snare in hand because I had a
Kitsune.
Kitsune, a data mine, and a lockdown in front of HQ. I was like, okay, well, at least I can try and ping him. And he just kept running R&D, and he's just running and running and digging, and it was just like, he got his medium out, he was going and going, and then he hit snare and snare.
Oh, that's it.
And then at the end of it, because he was okay. He just had no cards in hand, and he just, on my go, was like, how dead am I? And I just went, very, and I dead. And he was well in the lead. I hadn't scored a thing.
Yeah.
He must have been on about 5 points. And it's the same with you. Like, I felt bad when we played because you were trying to show me your Faust deck. And
yep.
It never really got started.
Nope. I don't think I've even got to install Faust.
I do like the fact that you were like, I've got my origamis, I'm getting a really big hand size. Like, that does not matter to me.
Yeah, because you will just psychic field everything away.
And also lockdown, which I think is...
Oh, lockdown definitely got me, yeah. It's just like, I can run through that!
It's absolutely my favourite piece of ice now, because people go, I'll just run through it. It's like, you haven't read and thought about what it does, and that's going to screw you.
I love it as well, because I've, as you know, I played a variant of Chuffbots and then your Julienne deck. Myself and I kind of put in a bit more fast advancey stuff to kind of, score out Philotic really quickly if I needed to. Or, just get the House of Knives on the board, because then you can just start pinging them with damage and stuff like that. And I thought, well, because then you can also, do the Biotic Labour, get that extra click, and then you could use the quadruple advance and still have a click left to advance it a 5th time if it's a feature perfect or something like that. So that was the reasoning behind it. It did fairly well. I lost 1 game through stupid plays and being agenda flooded, but it did amazing things, like a runner with a code gate breaker out. Just let the lockdown subroutine fire, because I don't need to draw.
Why would you do that?
I don't need to. It was a 5 strength. It's like, do they want to pay, 4 with Gordian Blade to break it? I was like, nah, it's cheaper if I just run straight through. And of course, they probably hit. It was either a snare or a fetal AI or something like that was in the deck. And one of the cards that I got with the net damage was I've Had Worse, which doesn't trigger if you just run through a lockdown.
Nope.
Which is beautiful. All of a sudden, oh no.
It immediately erases the Anarch draw and the replacement, in air quotes, for Plascrete.
Yeah, it's lockdown is so dangerous.
Oh my
and
god!
zero to res 5 strength code gate. It's beautiful.
You hit a lockdown and then a Cortex lock.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're dead. There's
or even just run through lockdown, ping you with the 1 counter of 2 of both of the House of Knives I've scored. That puts you even closer and closer in range of maybe the 2 net damage ability on the biotech as well.
It lends itself to magnificent mind games, not side games, just you screwing with the other player.
Yeah.
And I did message you about this earlier, and I know what the answer's going to be, but but I had this idea. I hadn't picked the brewery. I picked the other one, which allows you to put advancement counters on things.
Oh, the greenhouse.
Yes,
because the greenhouse grows and the brewery kills because it's alcohol. That's how I remember it.
And the tank.
You don't use unless you're playing noise.
But no, I advanced, quadruple advance something, I think it is.
Yeah, it's quadruple.
I looked at it, I put them on there, and I say, I'll advance, and then I lifted it up slightly to look underneath it, and went, not score, and put it back down. And he was like, oh, I was just like, I pulled a face of oh no, I've miscalculated this. And the first thing he rang was that, and it was a cerebral override. And he got very angry with me. He was like, that was a poor show. That's got to be against the rules. I didn't show any cards. I didn't advance anything that couldn't be advanced.
You also said you weren't going to score it as well. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's an agenda. You can't score an asset. But it's still a dick move.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was looking for some kind of backup on my side. I appreciate it's a dick move.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a dick move that works. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with Jinteki, and I look forward to playing it more.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the few corporations in recent years that I've really enjoyed. Because I never really got behind Blue Sun. It was like, it wasn't. I don't think it was for me. But then this is literally something that I can throw anything down, especially you just mooshing out cards. It's like, okay, you can look at that if you want. Like, oh, okay, and like it could be a Grundle,
Yeah.
or it could be a Cerebral Overwriter, or it could be an Agenda, or it could be anything else.
So many things.
I've also found that if you you stick a trap down and then stick Tori Hanzo on it, people tend to run that server. I don't know why they would think they would. It's like, they haven't seen much damage ice in their hands. Like, oh well, I guess we'll just go in and track, get that Agenda because it's clearly being, protected by. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an odd one. You'd think you might treat something that has an upgrade a bit more carefully, or maybe they just think it's it could, maybe to them it could be Gender and Sansan that you're going to score out super fast next turn.
Possibly. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then on the runner side, I have taken your Cloud Heist Geist.
Woohoo!
And I have made Cloud Heist Geist version 1.2, the difficult second album. And that's mainly because I played a lot of Wizard, the not looking for job version. And I really like Wizard. But it was time for a break. And I thought, well, we've got this new ident. It's a criminal, which I never ever play.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at Mark's deck and twist it to my own nefarious designs. So here's a little game we'll play. I have swapped one card, and I have added 4 more. And I want you to guess what I've done to your deck.
So swapped 1 and added 4. So you're on like 48 cards in the deck or something?
No, I'm on 49. So I've literally swapped one card for another card and then added 4 more cards.
That's my bad maths. Or
my bad way of explaining it.
I was going to say, are the 4 cards the same card? No, they can't. That's just downright stupid. Are we looking at 2 2s or 4 1s?
3 and a 1.
3 of and a 1 of. Okay. Oh, this is going to be really difficult. Oh, I know what you've put in. I think. I reckon you've got rid of the Levy because that's 3 influence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's been replaced with, but I reckon you've put Scrubber in there because to supplement your Wizard needs. And that's
no, no. Actually,
no. Oh.
What I took out was one of your grappling hooks, your precious grappling hooks, and threw in a Fem because Fem and Cloneship are fun.
Yep, that's true.
I thrown in 3 Dirty Laundries because I love that card.
Yeah.
And another legwork.
Another legwork.
I've made it so I can run more.
Nice.
I was absolutely considering getting rid of the Levy and throwing in Scrubber.
Knew it.
Absolutely.
Well, I did. I have an unpublished version 1.2, which got rid of the Levy, and I just put in another Street Peddler and another Maker's Eye and another legwork, and I think I swapped a few other things around, just to enable more running as well. Because I think the original one is just 2 legworks and 2 Maker's Eyes. And then you kind of rely on the same old things to kind of bring them back. But then I was like, the more of them that are in there, the more likely you are going to run and do the multi-access because there's no interfaces in the deck. But no, I really enjoyed it. And I don't think I mentioned this on the last cast because I think it happened afterwards. But someone actually played the Cloud Heist Geist deck against me on Tuesday, which was pretty amazing.
Wow, you've reached the heady heights of people somewhat knowing about your decks. You're looking at it going, this is very familiar.
It was such a surreal moment for me. I'm just kind of thinking, all right, so you're running Geist with Data Folding and Underworld Contacts, and
which makes complete sense, by the way.
Well, that's the thing, because it made sense to me, and it's obviously made sense to them. And then I'm like, I'm using Grappling Hook. And I know a lot of people don't like Grappling Hook, and then they throw down the Central Only breakers. It's like, all right, now this is very familiar now. But yeah, I could tell it was still
Did you say, do you listen to Nerdrunners by any chance?
No, I didn't. I asked him if by any chance it was called Cloud Heist. And I think my exact words, does it have a silly name like Cloud Heist Geist? It's like, yes. I was like, aha, okay. And, well, the enjoyable thing about it was quite difficult to play against. Maybe because I was a little freaked out that it was feeling so familiar, but it's because they Johnny was kind of putting a lot of kind of early card draw, like just drawing, because that's where the deck's weakest. It's early game. You really want to be, have quite a few breakers down, and then just spend the latter half of the game just running consistently. And it is very difficult to defend against when they've got 6 or 7 breakers out, and it's right, you can get through pretty much anything of mine. Shit.
I have to admit, I do love it. I do like the inclusion of the central onlys because it tricks them into thinking it's going a particular way.
Yeah, especially if you throw Passport or Alias or something down first before you put any cloud breakers down.
But oh my god, I dropped 3 shivs in a go and then ran. And I was oh, okay, that's it's I can just get through your sentries now. It's cool.
My favourite move that I did, and I think I mentioned this last time, was using Grappling Hook on an Enigma to break the end of the run and just losing the click and getting through and taking the agenda.
Oh, by the way, how good is Forger?
Oh, Forger is amazing!
It's an amazing console! Just going up against Butchershop and nope, you're not tagging me, I'm out of here.
Yeah, especially if their plan relies on the 2 tags from a breaking news score at the beginning of their turn. And it's no, I'll remove one of those tags.
Thank you!
Oh, Forger is great. Very, very good.
It's a very well put together deck. Almost to the point at which I don't want to play it because it's actually working.
Did I tell you that someone played Seasource on me when I was using the deck, just so that I would pop Forger, just to turn off Underworld Contacts for a turn? Because I was getting so much money.
It's ridiculous.
I was I'll take that because I had another one in hand. I was I can take a 3 credit loss this turn.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And then you could just bring it back again somehow.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it, and Street Peddler is just great. I don't know, it feels a bit too anarch for the deck because sometimes you do lose or you have very difficult decisions to make over what you're going to trash.
Yeah, but then you just hope that it's programs.
Yeah.
You throw down your clone chips.
Well, and even if it's events, you can play them again with same old things, so it does work like that. It's the only annoying thing is if you end up with 3 data folding on there, and all of a sudden that's most of your economy cards. It's oh shit.
I'll tell you what, Fall Guy's good in there as well, because I forget, every time I play him, I forget that you can just trash him to gain 2 credits.
Yeah.
So gain 2 credits, draw a card, oh good, well that's my crowbar and my spike down.
No, it's very good.
Guess we run.
Yeah. I might have to return to it at some point. I definitely enjoyed playing it quite a lot, but I'm still in the Quetzal Faust arena right now.
How's that going?
Still amazing. The most annoying thing is the only losses I've had with the deck have been from flatlining because
welcome.
Well, it's yourself and a few people from Tuesday, and it's because I will do a run that feeds Faust too much, and then that's put me in a slight disadvantage. And to his credit, James did a really good move against me on last time we played, and he used Cyber Decks midway through a run that I had 3 counters on a Nerve Agent and 3 on a Data Sucker. And that told me, in my head, I was that means there's something in HQ worth protecting. I know, I'll give tons of cards to Faust to get through this, I think it was a spider web that I need to get through, because I think I'd already spent my Quetzal ability on the first spider web on that server. And then he's oh good, you're on 4 cards, Cecil, Scorch. Fuck! Okay. He had nothing in HQ, it was a really good play.
Yeah. Well, that's the amount of mind games you can play with people. But no, I do like your Faust deck. It's just a shame, that's why I advise you to put in the parasites in the...
Yeah, well, they're in there now. I can't remember if I told you. It's on version 1.3 now, and I think I solved the economy problem, because I was been toying with putting in Magnum Opus, because I don't really have an issue with memory having Eco Mind in there along with Origami. And I thought, I could, do I use Net Ready Eyes that much? Maybe I could. I've got a Data Sucker in there now. Maybe I could put Magnum Opus in there. It's it's good. 2MU's not an issue because I have tons of memory. Then I was I do really like Net Ready Eyes. It's a quick. If they purge, then I still have a bit of leeway with boosting strength. And then I remembered a card I've not used for a while, which is Armitage Code Busting, which is a much cheaper temporary Magnum Opus, and it is great in all the games I've played since putting it in. It's come out and it's done wonders. And I think if you get rid of the 1 credit it takes to install, and if you have all 3 of them, that's 33 credits they can get you if you've used all of them in a game, which is great. And I thought about Career Fair as well, because damn it, Anox use Career Fair and all of the liberated accounts and daily cast and all the resource economy. But I'm still... The only real things that would benefit from that are Chronotype and Wildside, which would be free. And I thought, well, it's not really worth having Career Fair in there just for kind of 2 cards, of which I'm only going to play 1 of each of them. And then remembered a card that is very similar, but a ton more flexible for the same amount of influence, and that's Easy Mark. 3 credits that you can spend on anything rather than a 3-credit discount on something. And it's good. I've forgotten how nice it is, especially when it's like, shit, I've drawn into a sure gamble. Okay, Easy Mark and credit, sure gamble. And then you're back in the sure gamble range. It's great.
Oh, yes.
And and between that and then the other deck that I was running, which was a RP deck that lost spectacularly because I only drew code gates and agendas in the game that I played with it. And not only that, but they throw a Yogg out really early. It's like, oh good, I'm so glad I put Enigma on HQ and R&D. Fuck. Let me just trash these for a Lotus Field. But no, I also had Marcus 1.0 and Marcus Batty in the RP decks. I think I'm running all 3 cards that have my name in them.
Very nice. Yeah. The Mark deck.
The Mark decks.
Marky Mark.
Although my Batties got trashed before I could use them, so sad.
Well, we can't have everything.
Yeah, we get that. Other than that, I've been playing... I went back to making news because I wanted to play kind of a Butchershop-y, Tag Stormy type deck. And I thought, because it relies a lot on tracers, maybe making news is better for it than Near Earth Hub. And yeah, those 2 recurring credits are great, and it's a shame everyone forgets about this identity because Near Earth Hub is out. But it's really good, and it's got stuff in there like Bandwidth and Pachinko, which are great when they work. It's miserable when they come out in the wrong order, or they don't work at all. So obviously Bandwidth will give the runner a tag during the run, then they remove the tag if it's successful, which I forgot about, because then a runner was going to run on their next click into a universal connectivity fee, and I went, are you sure you want to do that? And they were like, yeah, that tag went. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, oh shit, never mind me then. I did pull off the most, well, aside from actually psychoing out a Beal for all 7 points, which
I'm so glad you've reached that milestone. I'm really proud of you.
I already had an Astro scored, but I had enough money to psycho the Beal out for 7 anyway, so I did it. So technically it's only worth 5, but I still got it out for 7. And the only reason I scored out the Astro earlier was because I was in such a bind of, trying to actually have enough money to psycho out the Beal and also defend myself. So I was like, oh shit, I'll just score out the Astro for now and hopefully I'll draw into another one. But no, the best one came when a runner stim hacked at me. And they already had 15 tags on them from a spectacular mid-season replacement play earlier on. Because, because I thought, I'll make sure they're over 13 so I can do the Psychographics Beal play if I want to. And 15, I've got 2 recurring credits, why not? And so they played StimHack and they were like all psyched up, you could see, they're gonna charge into your server, I'm gonna do mean things. And what's the first card that I read? Oh, look, it's Universal Connectivity Fee. So not only did they lose the 3 credits in their credit pool, but they lost the 9 additional credits from StimHack. Which is so bad. And what's behind that Universal Connectivity Fee, I hear you ask? It was a pop-up window.
Naturally.
So not only did they lose all their money, they got a brain damage and the run ended. That's never going to happen again, but I was delighted that it actually happened in a game.
Completely.
Shut someone off with that play. It's great. It was really good. But yeah, it's mostly the decks I've been playing. I've rebuilt my Leela deck from a while ago with a few new additions to it. It doesn't have gang sign in because I'd rather just be kind of... I decided to kind of try and force myself into running a bit more because I've been doing that with Anarch now that I have Faust and I feel that I can run more. Whereas Geist, I felt I was kind of having to sit back a lot, so I kind of put Desperado in Leela rather than Logos, which I usually do. So that meant I didn't put gang sign in and put in like security testing and stuff like that. But no, I'm looking forward to trying that out again and getting back reacquainted with Leela. But I just sit down across from my opponent and I just can't help but reach for my Anarch deck box and just pull Faust and Quetzal out again. It's just like there's the part of me that doesn't want to play anything else because I'm having so much fun with it right now.
You see, you finally found a deck that's like that. I mean, that's always been me in Wizard.
Yeah,
consistently. Wizard is just the fat hammer who can come in and break your shit and get out.
I really want them to re-release Wizard now, but instead of Master Gamer, it just reads Fat Hammer.
Fat Hammer.
It was fat spelled P-H-A-T, obviously.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Not insulting his weight. I'm just saying.
But no, I enjoy. I mean, I really like Ketzel when she first came out, and obviously still enjoying her even more now that Faust is there, and you can put just so much pressure on. It's great. Mm-hmm. Although I played a quick game on Jinteki earlier, and I kind of rebuilt my Foundry deck that had Grindel, Refinery, and Punitive Counter-Strike in that I took to that tournament ages ago. But it's a bit more refined now, and I think I've kind of got it working a bit better. And it worked really well, and just having tons of next dice out really early, and just getting to a point where the runner, who was playing Wizard, obviously, had a Parasite in the bin and a clone ship ready to go. They'd had to install an Atman at 5 because of all my next dice had increased next bronze to 5 strength.
Bloody hell.
There was a next silver in front of that, which had 5 subroutines on, which was really taxing their Kuroda. And I got to a point where I was like, if I res the next silver that's in front of the next silver that's in front of the next bronze on this remote server where I'm scoring out of, they'll have to Parasite it in order to then still have just enough money, because otherwise if they don't get rid of that pumps the next bronze to strength 6, which means that Atman can't get through it, because I don't think they're running any code gate breakers in the deck. Oh no, they were running a Yogg, but they were already being trashed. And I was just like, yeah, they're in such a bad no-win situation right now, and it felt really, because the next ice, I forgot how great and malleable it is, and thinking, if I res this 6th piece of next ice, that Atman, which you spent 8 credits putting out, is useless now because I have nothing else at strength 5 on the board. That becomes strength 6, so you have to Parasite that, which means you have to spend those 2 credits, which means you don't then have enough credits to break all 5 subroutines on the next silver that's already res. It's like, brilliant. Because I think I mentioned it a little while ago, like, when I was playing Faust, it kind of reminded me a bit of the next ice in that you kind of, it's unpredictable how you can get into the server because of the number of cards in your hand. And next ice is the same kind of thing. Like you don't know with all the face down cards if rezzing something then adds another subroutine or another strength which then makes it more difficult to get through. And I've forgotten how much fun I had with the next ice. So I might reacquaint myself with the Foundry properly and get back into that a little bit more. So Stef, last week we started talking about what we usually do in a side game.
Yeah, we did, and it got mainly you, thinking. I kind of went off and had a bit of a bit of cake and a bit of a sleep. No, we discussed how we dealt with side games, and it came out that we both have our own little personal mantras, I suppose.
Yeah.
For how we deal with these things, and then it got you thinking. Well, what other personal mantras do we have? And I got a few. I know you've got some as well. And then you decided to turn to our lovely community, as we always do.
Yes.
Pretty much doing our job for us.
They're so good at it, though.
I did feel quite bad going to them a second week in a row and go, hi, guys.
Us again.
I think we either have to make it a thing, and we do it every week. We do a straw poll every week, or... It's like, what haircut should I have next? But yeah, why don't you lead us in with some of yours? Because
cool.
I'm curious now.
Cool. So yeah, I think as a runner, going back to the side game, just to kind of refresh if you didn't catch the last episode. Yeah, usually as a runner, I'd maybe typically bet 0 as like a way of mini siphoning the corp. If it's an agenda, if it's an ice or a trap, then I'd probably think a bit differently. But yeah, typically it's either 0 or 1 that I bet. It's very, very rare I bet 2 unless I'm a corporation and kind of have the money, because knowing my own behaviour, I usually expect the runner doesn't want to spend 2 on a side game, so betting 2 is a corporation, I don't mind. Again, because it's me thinking what the runner might think, but you think kind of, the corp will spend 2 and that reduces their credits even more and even more and even more, so I'll spend 1 or 0 to kind of make sure I have more of a credit lead and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of usually betting 1 if I'm a runner, but yeah, it gets a bit crazy if it's anything else, if it's like suddenly there's a psychic field on the board, or a cerebral cast, or any other kind of forced side game shenanigans that you probably have included in your Julien Jinteki deck.
Oh yeah, I'm all for
but yeah, a lot of that, I think that's a difficult one because a lot of it comes from the board state, and if you manage to get the corp down on credits, it can put you in a really good position. I know obviously vamping the corp to nothing and then going after the agendas or Caprice is a good strategy because then they have to bet 0. But yeah, I think it's probably the most malleable one that I have in terms of mantras. Purging virus counters is another one that I was thinking about, and I'll only ever purge virus counters if I'm positive it'll there'll be a way that I can tax the runners slightly for them to get the counters back up. So I'd never, if they're getting into R&D really easily and they have a medium out, I would never just purge virus counters for the sake of it, because then they can get their medium back up to 2, 3, 4 counters again just in the next turn, and they're back up to seeing as many cards as they were, and then you're in the same position over and over again. So yeah, at least kind of making, even if it means, you know, taking a slight hit just so you've got, you know, ice somewhere else, or another layer of ice which is going to cost you some money just to kind of protect it a little bit more. But yeah, I'd never purge virus counters with like an open archives or something where they could just hit that twice, have data sucker counters ready to do whatever they were going to do anyway. I think that's kind of more of a just kind of common sense one than anything deep and philosophical, which we might be aiming for at some point.
Damn.
I don't know. Another one
what
is...
What do you expect of us? Take the next straw poll.
Do you believe we're deep and philosophical on the Nerdrunners podcast? It's just going to be lots of no's, isn't it? I'm calling bullshit. Okay. Rightly so. Yeah, another one that was interesting is trashing kind of assets and upgrades. Normally, unless I know it's going to be a real thorn in my side if I don't do it later, like not trashing a Chrysium grid when you have the chance, even though it's 5 credits. Something like that, I'll always try and make sure I deny the corp, and you just have to, you know, try and make sure they don't interns it or crick it back later, which is just the most annoying thing when you just trashed a Chrysium grid and they play interns. It's like, what was the point? What was the point? I'd always trash Jackson if you access him from R&D, maybe from HQ, but I'd always run archives to force the corp to res and use Jackson rather than running Jackson if he's on the table and you know where he is, because then that run's ended, Jackson's gone, but you know
but he'll be back.
He'll be back, but you could have, you know, potentially checked archives anyway just to see what was in there and get some more knowledge. So it's more valuable, I feel, to kind of, you know, ignore Jackson if he's on the table and try and force the corp to use him before they're ready. I think is another good way to think about it. So maybe they only have a couple of, maybe they just have one face down card in archives. Just run archives then, and just see if they pop the Jackson, and if not, maybe then you can run him and see if they'll trash him. But yeah, the difficult one I always find is knowing when to trash economy, assets, and upgrades. Anything that's going to give the corp money, because a lot of the time I end up feeling,
always trash them.
Always, yeah. I know I should, but then you end up thinking like, oh, you know, that Eve campaign's been going for 2 turns. They've already got a ton of money. What's the point? And, you know, their ETF.
No, you immediately trash them. I'm not saying that.
That's something I need to get better at. But yeah, I feel that you should definitely trash them before they get going, because otherwise the corp just ends up with even more money than you, and you just end up in a really bad situation. And yeah, the last one I had caused a bit of friction from a few people calling me out of being a bit of a dumbass for it, but I stand by this. And
I don't. I in no way associate with your belief system on this.
Some of it will depend on other factors, which I'll get to in a second. But I would always check a Mushin card which has not been advanced a 4th time and doesn't have ice in front of it. If they put a piece of ice down in front of it, it becomes a bit trickier then, because you think, maybe they're protecting agenda, or maybe they're really going to do some damage to you with like a Kamainu first or something like that. If they advance it 4 times, then it becomes super dangerous, and I definitely want to sabotage the corpse economy a little bit before I check that. And you know, they spend 3 and do lots of brain damage to me. But I feel it's the point swing if you don't check a Mushin card and it is a 5/3 agenda, or it's a critical agenda like a Nisei or something like that, and the corp got it out just because you didn't run over and check it because you know.
But how many times has that worked for you? I think
actually a surprising amount.
I think the point a lot of people are making is that in these heady days of RP shenanigans, chances are that you're not going to run into an agenda. Chances are you're going to run into something awful.
Well, I'd counter that by saying RP doesn't tend to play Mushin anyway. But
well, true.
Yeah,
but
no, like
you understand my meaning.
I do. Yeah, in you know the wild wasteland that is Jinteki's net damage department. Yeah, I mean, granted, but if you think about, I thought about this earlier, and typically they're going to have probably more agendas in the deck than they are going to have advanceable ambush traps. Ambushes, traps of the ice. So in terms of number of cards in the deck, then statistically it could be more likely to be an agenda. But if they score that 5-3, then obviously that puts them, could put them quite ahead of you, especially if it's, their second agenda they scored. And if it gets to, another thing as well, I feel, is if it gets to match point, and the Corp has a bunch of stuff out, which is what happened in a game when I was playing the Biotech deck. I had something I motioned out at the start of the game, which was definitely a trap. It was a June bug, and then I put a Shell Corp on it the next turn, just to basically say, hey, look, it's a trap, don't run on this. Or it could have been an agenda, who knows? That's the point. That's the point I'm making. And then later I think I just installed double advanced something else, and I think I was on match point. Yeah, I must have been on match point. And the thing I'd installed double advanced was a Cerebral Overwriter, and the runner, because they had to check it, or else I could have potentially won, because there were two face down really well advanced cards that I can score out the next turn if they are agendas. The runner had to check both of them and flatlined because they took way more. Because I had 4 credits and I had enough to give them the damage on Junebug and enough to give them the damage on Overwriter. And it's just because they let it get to a point where the cards had mounted up to a critical mass almost. Levels. Yeah, it's like now the Corp is forcing your hand to check multiple ambushes in a single turn to prevent them winning the game, which is something you don't want to let them get to. And I don't know, maybe this is just me and the people I played against, but more often than not, Mushin cards in games I play tend to be agendas. Sometimes they, if it's in HP, it could be mandatory upgrades, or at the time I didn't run it, they got a super advanced Vitruvius out of it. But last night I was playing against a guy. I know he was relatively new, but I ran twice against 2 Mushin cards throughout the game, and they were both future perfects, and that was the 6 points I needed to beat his Harmony Medtech deck. And again, Harmony Medtech score 1 Mushin out 5-3, and they're at match point. So you can't let a single other Mushin card go by, because that could be the agenda. Is what I'm getting at. So it's the swing of letting them have 3 points versus I maybe lost 6. Well, I mean, obviously I draw up to 6 cards because it's probably going to be a Junebug. If it's if I'm at 5 cards, it's definitely going to be a Junebug. But just making sure you're prepared is probably the thing I didn't get across well when I posted it on Reddit. Is
definitely, because I still think you're mental.
Yeah, but I'd rather lose 6 cards and then spend my next 3 clicks or next 2 clicks drawing up just so I have a couple of cards in hand so they can't just neurally MP me. I'd rather do that than let them score a 5-3 or a critical 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my philosophy. I'd always rather check it than not. If they just do an install advance, I probably treat that
hypochondriac's reasoning. I'd rather get it checked.
I'd rather get it checked than not. But I guess if it was just an install advance, I'd probably treat that more as a trap than an agenda. But it's the fact that it's the Mushin makes me always want to check it, just because they're getting the install. They're basically getting 2 free clicks with it. They're getting the install and 3 advancements for the cost of a double. But like I say, like someone addressed in the comments, like I'm not sure what I would do if they put another advancement token on it. I did actually run in one situation where a Corp did that, and it was a mandatory upgrades, so I'm glad I checked that. But I think when it gets to 4 advancements, that almost screams this is a certain death situation for you. You check this, it's 8 net damage or 4 brain damage. Or if you're already on, you say you already took 3 brain damage from a Cerebral Overwriter, then the next one becomes a serious, should I check this?
I'd love to just Mushin something out and then just keep advancing it and see whether you'll run for it.
And then it's a government takeover out of Wayland.
Yeah.
No, 6 points. I think I need to see more and try and play more against people who've kind of done that, kind of either 4th advancement or put it behind some ice. But if it's just a naked one, more often than not, I tend to think that's probably an agenda they're just trying to slip by, because everyone's immediate reaction is that's an ambush. That's going to kill me if I check that. But if you're prepared, if you have at least 6 cards in hand, and then you can take all the Junebug damage, and that's fine. And if you can try and sabotage, I mean, Junebug is the worst one because it only takes 1 credit for the Corp to do nasty things. But yeah, it's the worst case. It's going to be you're going to have 3 brain damage for the rest of the game. It could be a snare. They could have Mushined out a snare, but that doesn't happen as frequently, I'd say, as Junebug or Overwriter. But yeah, I think that's my main one that I've come to learn is just check the Mushin card if you can afford to take the damage, if you can be prepared to take the damage, then check it, because the point swing otherwise is really great in favor of the Corp. And but then yeah, it also signals to the Corp is I'm not afraid to check something you've crazy advanced. So
fair play.
Yeah, because then the Corp thinks, oh, should I Mushin out another agenda because they checked the first one, and then it gets into this whole spiral of well, he thinks that, or they think that I think that they think that I think that they think it's a trap, so maybe it should be an agenda. So it gets into these crazy situations, but I personally kind of always try and check it if possible, because there's nothing worse than letting that 5-3 get into the score area and going, oh, I knew it was an agenda, I just didn't check it. How about yourself? Have you got any kind of main philosophies that you tend to live by for Netrunner?
Well, first of all, I always move, and that's not just in the case of I always run. At least if I'm not running on my go at least once, then I'm doing it badly. Pretty much. That's one of my philosophies. Another one is, well, it also applies with the not moving. Is that I'll always not fiddle with something, because I don't like people who cycle their decks and things like that.
Kind
just
of
keep
annoying,
shuffling
yeah.
and shuffling and shuffling. No, but I'll take a counter, one that's not worth anything, like a Varus counter, and I'll just play with it in my hands, and it functions as a low grade distraction, which I know again is kind of a dick move, but I like to think that
I can see you doing like the Casino Royale poker chip trick where you're just kind of flicking it between the knuckles.
I kind of do that. Like I'm not proud of it, but you know, it's is what it is, and yeah, that's one of the other ones. The other one is I'm a very aggressive runner.
Yeah.
So I will always face check. I do not care about stuff. I always face check on the first click. Naturally, it depends who you're running against. If you're running against HB, always face check on your first click.
Yeah.
Because they may just put down a low-grade Bioroid, which you can just sleek through, or it could be something awful that you can just try and avoid the brain damage to try and get through. And then I suppose as a Corp, it's always just the runner doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Just keep them in the dark for no other reason. I like to just stare people in the eyes. Like, just look at them. You know, lick your lips longingly. But no, there's a thing about it took me a long time to develop a poker face with this game.
Yeah.
And it's got me to this point, okay, now where I can stare someone down and go, I know you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, looking at them with the eyes of, you can't get to me, you can't. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends. Because I'm such an aggressive player, I don't really... What's the word I'm looking for here? I'm an aggressive player, so I don't really have too much of a Corp philosophy other than screw the runner. I literally just, no, this is you're not getting in here, and if you are, it's going to cost you. But that's because I play a lot of trap decks and a lot of things like that. Oh, and also, one of the things I learned a long time ago, which is great, and I always try and tell new people about it, is that you always draw before you do anything else.
Yes.
Don't install, draw, unless you're trying to get your health up. It's literally a case of draw, see what tools you've got, because you might get that thing that you need in the next card.
Yeah, especially if it's money as well.
Oh my god, yes. The amount of times I've just been like, I could just click for... Actually, or I'll draw.
Yeah.
Oh good, there's my sure gamble. There you go, that's enough now.
Yeah. Or you think...
I've got a way out.
Or you think, like, if you get like a card like Diesel or I've Had Worse, and you can just play that on... You draw into that, and you can play that on your second click to get even more cards. And you still have 2 clicks left to do whatever you want with the cards that you've just drawn.
It's very weird. It's this weird mindset as a runner of having a brain split between these are my tools, these are also my health, but they're also my options.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got this whole deck full of options, and it's kind of awesome. Just to kind of, you just got to get yourself into that mindset.
Yeah.
And it's also like things like I will always trash assets because I'm a wizard player. So
Yeah, it comes naturally.
First time. If they res something, like if they res an Adonis, that Adonis is dying. If they res a Sunju, that Sunju is dying. Like, I don't care. I've had people res like 2 Sunjus, 3 Sunjus at once, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to cost yourself. It's like, I don't care, because if I trash him now, it's not going to affect me 3 turns down the line where I go, oh, I wish I got rid of that before it gave them all that money.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the same with like Jackson. Like, always get rid of a Jackson. Try and force the corp to get rid of them if you can. Same with always trash a business show.
Yeah.
Never let MBN have a business show.
Oh, it's dangerous. Never let anyone have it. Like, RP plays it a lot as well these days.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, don't let anybody have a business show.
And kind of going off something that you mentioned about knowing more than the runner and things like that, one thing I always try and do, if possible, is always have a new face-down piece of ice on a server if the runner has seen everything so far.
Yep.
Just so that they can't accurately calculate how much to get into that server or what they're going to need to do. So, for example, when I was the Foundry game I mentioned earlier in the show, and it was next bronze at the base, then next silver in front of that, and then an unres next silver in front of that. And because they were playing the kind of looking for job wizard variant, they had net ready eyes, and because it was an a face down piece of ice, they naturally put the strength up to 4 on mimic. It's like, well, you don't know this, but if you'd have put that on Atman and I'd have rezzed this piece of ice, then Atman would be at the right strength to then break the code gate at the base. So yeah, always kind of keeping the runner in the dark about your ice as well is usually a very good trick, because they're never able to predict. Not even if it's just in terms of it's going to damage them or something like that, but just in terms of financially, if they can afford to get in, because they could spend, they could be 1 credit shy of getting in because you had 1 face down piece of ice and they didn't know what that was.
I mean, I don't really kind of just run. I tend not to run assets or things blindly, but ice I'll always face check, just to learn what tools I need. Especially if you've been running HQ or R&D and you've seen a bunch of ice, you're like, oh, okay, he's playing a lot of barriers. That'll be my barrier breaker out first. Then,
yeah.
But yeah, run fast, run hard.
We are trained anarchs, though, so we would say
that's
that.
it. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've been killed a few times by running fast and running hard, and it's a case of like, don't be afraid. Depending on who you're playing against, don't be afraid to float tags.
Yeah,
like, because people, it's weird when people get. I think it's about more than 3 tags. People tend to get a bit like, oh, who cares? I'm going to die anyway. Go, 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 go. Whereas if you have that attitude beforehand, it's the same as my principle. It's like, what's a little bit of brain damage between friends?
Yeah.
Because I will stim hack my brain out if it means I get a point. I do not care.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, what's the worst they're going to do? They're going to spend 2 credits and a click to trash your Katie Jones.
Yeah.
If you can afford that, then yeah, doesn't. A lot of the time, you end up getting tagged maybe in the mid to late game when you've already taken a bunch of money off Katie anyway. You don't necessarily need her again that soon, but yeah, I mean, it all depends from game to game. Shall we turn to our wonderful community and their personal mantras?
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, I was thinking of what my last thing a bit of me. It's like,
oh yeah,
you can always force the runner to end the run, always, and the best way of doing that is when they get to the end saying, "Would you like to access?"
Oh yes, that is,
and
so
make
good.
sure you look at them, then look at the card, and then look at them again.
Yeah,
that has saved my ass so many times, especially playing Jinteki or MPN.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like, it's in the rules. Like, you really should be asking the runner if they want to access. You shouldn't take for granted that they want to access the card.
Exactly.
You need that clarification for your last payment window anyway. But it freaks runners the fuck out. Like, I put this in the thread, and just like, someone playing Fast Advance NEH asked me once I got to the bottom of the server, "Do you want to access?" And all I could think of was, "Oh shit, that's a snare. Why else would they ask me if I want to access the card?" It's like, no, it was a Project Beal, and I'm glad I accessed it. But those few little words completely throw you. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then as a runner, if someone asks you that, just access the card.
Yeah,
like. Usually, people, if they're excited that a trap's going to go off, they aren't smug enough to ask that question.
They usually want to keep quiet to not scare you away from accessing the card. Like a deer in a forest.
Let's go to our beautiful, beautiful community. And I kind of want to say thank you for listening and for putting up with our crap every couple of weeks, because we've got a ton of feedback, and it's really cool.
Yeah, like some really, really awesome little mantras that you guys have, and the best thing, like, we got some really good jokey ones as well, which we'll read out too. But yeah, just like there's so many good ones on there, and yeah, we're kind of really thankful that you guys have all kind of taken the time to give us some feedback and kind of answer our silly question for the podcast.
But let's go in. Let's go in with a nice one, shall we? There were a lot of the things that we just mentioned. So stuff like drawing, it goes first. That was quite a nice one. That was posted quite early on, actually, by G-Mang. So if you're going to draw this turn, do it as early as possible because the draw can affect your decisions.
Yes, definitely.
I do like the one below, which is Vicetron. It says, "Does gleefully saying it's a snare whenever someone accesses a snare count. It's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up, it's a snare." And there are certain things you can say. It's like when, I mean, you can't do it in polite company, but when someone plays a surge, what do you scream, Mark? You scream, "Surge!" Nice.
Maybe not as operatically as that.
I quite like that. That would scare the crap out of me.
Whenever I have to do something like that, it just reminds me of that episode of Scrubs where JD has the opera singer that sings "mistake" every time he makes a mistake. So obviously, that's my go-to kind of in a monologue that becomes my outer expression. I also shout "pancakes" whenever someone plays adjusted chronotype, even though it doesn't say that on the card. But it's fun.
I do like there's one from Mesa Rackham, which is "Wayland is trying to kill you." Sometimes they get cute and advanced stuff, but it's always good to keep their primary win condition in mind.
That is unbelievably true, yep.
Yes.
Cool. We had Neutronicus said, "Save a click for Katie, save a click for Katie, save a click for Katie. Damn it, I forgot to save a click for Katie." Which happens to me far too frequently, especially in the Faust deck that I'm running, because, you want to be running, you want to be doing mad, crazy things, and then, oh shit, it was my fourth click and I didn't click Katie. Bollocks. Oh, I'll do it next turn, and then you forget on the next turn, and then you just keep thinking about all these bundles of 3 credits at a time that you forgot to put on Katie.
There's some Pillock here mentioning checking and mooshing cards. We'll just bounce over that.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to that advice. That's just terrible.
Captain Mandrake, knowledge is power. Run early, run frequently, and get to know what ice is there as soon as possible so you can plan for it. Which is really true, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, especially early on when, if they're kind of credit poor, especially, I do quite like doing it against a Blue Sun deck.
Yeah.
Because if you can get out, I mean, I remember having a very early medium, just immediately playing that and running against an unresed Blue Sun over R&D.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going in and seeing what's in there, because chances are you won't pick anything up. But you might do, but the information you'll get is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, you can suddenly see how close they are to getting a Scorch, or even if it's just banking a few medium tokens for later.
Yep. Or maybe tricking them into purging for the next go.
Yeah.
Because we've all made mistakes.
Yeah. What else do we have here? Oh yes, Prickly Man. In regards to side games, is always bid 1, except for the times that you don't bid 1. Which is solid advice for side games. What else do we have? Myth Builder said, "Run last click. 60% of the time, it works every time," which is solid advice.
This is true. And Ignis Phase 1, my favourite one of them all. Punch it in the face. It's been my mantra for Wizard ever since he's been played. Most cork tricks are trash cans. No, I punch your stupid trash cans. Get them out of here. I've stuck with Wizard because I hate dealing with cork bullshit. If the trash cans and it dies for cheap. Vamp was the second part. No money, no tricks. No more corporation trickery or deceit.
It's written exactly as you would say it. It's perfect for you.
Pretty much.
I think you should get that on a t-shirt.
I was considering getting it on a t-shirt. Maybe that's it.
You can when you cosplay Wizard and you have that on your t-shirt instead.
Calling me fat?
No, I'm saying you cosplay as Wizard. He's your favourite runner.
That's true. This is true.
We also have a nice reference to the Run Last Click John Hackman stories. I'm going to mispronounce your name. I'm sorry. Providen Cian. I've butchered your name. I'm massive apologies. But you've written "Never Do Don't," which, if you listen to the Run Last Click John Hackman fanfic, then you will know that his motto for life, and that John Hackman doesn't do don't, or you always do.
You gotta love it.
Yep. And I really enjoyed Pity Upvote's comment of YOLO. Needless to say, I get flatlined a lot.
Yep. I do like there was also one earlier from a guy called Poe, or Girl, or Vegetable, called, just said, you really want to worry someone, try not resing any ice as Blue Sun. That is an amazing bit of advice for someone who wants to freak out a runner.
Yeah. It's like, I'll save these credits for the sea sauce I'm going to play next turn.
It's like, oh dear. I
had a really lovely one as well from a reader, listener person. Grapple Shotgun says, do something beautiful and respect beauty. This is a really nice comment. My primary goal is almost never to win. Is to make something awesome, whether it's being super efficient, having a strong econ, or pulling off a crazy combo. My win condition doesn't hinge on getting 7 points, and when I lose, or an opponent pulls off something incredible, I always enjoy it. I love seeing good plays, even when they're at my expense, which is great. That's such a lovely bit of feedback.
Very zen now. Allow me to ruin it. I'm not going to. Akalic, which is, if I have no idea what I'm doing, neither does the runner. Now that is something I've used to my advantage many times. Like, I'm just going to start playing things because I've no idea where anything is. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
And Boomfrog, the Corp never has infinite money. Make them spend it, which is really good advice. Especially those first turn runs. Like, I'll normally put off what I'm doing for my first turn, depending on what cards I have, to just run as much as I can on my first couple of clicks in my first turn, just to try and force them to spend that money, because then, you know, especially if they didn't manage to play like a hedge fund in their first go, all of a sudden those 5 or 6, if they click for a credit, is they're going to get spent on ice, and then the Corp has to spend a lot more time rebuilding than if you don't run straight away and force them to res. And also, it can give you a good idea about what ice they might be running. So if you're running early and the Corp has, 5 credits, maybe that ice costs 6 credits. So
you got to keep moving.
Got to keep moving.
And and Calc 3, who I do love, which is always do the most annoying thing possible.
Good
Followed
advice.
quickly by Myth Builder, which is always play mem strips against you, Calc 3. Oh, dear me. Right, well, that was, again, thank you very much for your participation. Maybe I should start sending out awards.
We could have like a comment of the week.
Yes. Oh, God. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about before we shuffle off? I was going to say shuffle off this Mortal Core. That's got a bit morbid, a bit of fucking hell. Sorry.
I have 2 pieces of reader emails to read out before we wrap for the week. Our first piece of reader email comes from Grim. He says, hey guys, it's good to hear a podcast which sets aside time for the more janky side of the game. The local meta here in Bergen has a decidedly janky slant to it, and it's always good to hear that people are experimental outside of it too. I especially enjoyed hearing EcoMind being used, as I think it's a wonderful card that opens it up for so many possibilities in the game. At one point I managed to install an Overmind with 14 counters on it thanks to EcoMind. All you need is Duggars, EcoMind and a clone chip or SMC. Start the turn with Duggars, which boosts your MU to 15. Use clone chip or SMC to install Overmind before you have to discard the cards down and to get an Overmind with a serious amount of counters on it. And then he just finishes off with, I need to figure out how to fit in Hivemind as well, so I have all of the minds. Keep up the good work. But yeah, thank you very much for your feedback, Grim. Yeah, obviously the best way to fit Hivemind into your deck is to run it with Progenitor, and then the MU does not count towards reducing your Overmind counters.
Yes.
And obviously the best thing to do then is to throw down a medium and go for a serious medium dig. And as we all know, medium is basically reading minds, so it fits in perfectly to your mind deck.
Absolutely.
But no, it's good. It's good to hear someone's really abusing EcoMind to do some serious damage with an Overmind.
It's inspiring, really, the whole of the set of anarchs are screwing with corporations around the world.
Solidarity across different continents and different countries. And our second piece for the week comes from a friend of the show, Dan, who you may remember requested some help with his Silhouette deck.
He had the Norwich Silhouette deck.
This is our friend with the Norwich Silhouette deck. And we now have some information on how well that deck has been doing for him. And I was sweating when I read this initially. I was like, "Oh my god, have I ruined Netrunner for him? Have we given him a terrible deck?" And he's like, That's it.
Who's this we?
It's the royal we.
Okay, that's fine.
Speaking on behalf of the podcast.
I was going to say, if it's ruined, it's your fault.
Yeah,
if it's passed, it's out. We did good work.
Yeah, You said that when I surprised our housemate with many pictures of her hanging in the living room for her birthday, and you were like, "If this is a terrible idea, and if it goes badly, it's all on you. But if it's good, I helped out."
I stand by my decision.
That, yeah.
It went badly.
It went terribly. I wish I'd not done that. Didn't help with the serial killer style note dangling from the lampshade in the middle of the room.
I think just with the lighting in that room as well, and the fact that it was probably 6 a.m, probably not the best.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dan says, "Hi guys, I've played the Norwich Silhouette deck a few times on Octagon with some success. We'll take it. Thank you very much."
Yes, we will. You are welcome for all of my input. Mark, good on you for helping.
He continues with, "I played against NEH Butchershop and kept them under 2 credits. Emergency shutdown and forged activation orders are awesome when the corp has minimal credits. The deck is a mid to late game control deck, which works well against heavy asset decks. Still hoping to try it out against an RP deck." And finally finishes with, "Just listen to your latest podcast, and yes, Quetzal Faust is the shit. I use E3 Wildside, Pancakes, and Net-Ready Eyes, and triple Data Sucker. So good." So thanks for your feedback, Dan. And yes, Quetzal Faust is the shit. I can definitely conclude.
It is the shit.
It's very, very good. And yeah, if you don't remember, the Norwich Silhouette deck we suggested to Dan a few episodes ago was kind of a riff on the Au revoir Snitch variant that you find in a lot of kind of silhouettes or sometimes chaos theories. It also had a hacktivist meeting in there to kind of try and do some damage with that and kind of forcing the corp to kind of do crazy things by discarding, by rezzing assets, by exposing things. And yeah, I'm glad it's going well for you. And yeah, if you've changed anything else to the deck, or if you managed to beat some replicating perfection, then yeah, keep us updated on how the deck does. I'm genuinely interested to know how Norwich Silhouette is faring for you.
And if anybody wants to adopt Norwich Silhouette, you can send royalties.
No, I should post the deck on Netrunner DB at some point so everyone can have a look at the crazy, janky, forged activation, exposed, snitch, credit denial shenanigans that it ended up being. But no, I'm glad it's working out well, and to say that I didn't even have time to test it before sending it on to Dan was it's quite nice that it's working okay. The theory behind it was sound. That's what I'm going off. Theoretically, it was awesome.
Oh, right then. Well, that's it for another fortnight, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mark, do you want to do the end of the show thingies that... I'm tired, go.
You'd have thought after like 14 episodes you'd have started to commit them to memory. They'd have started like worm your way into...
I know what to say, I just can't be bothered. Your voice is so soothing.
Thank you.
Oh, God. God, it's like you're in the room with me. Rubbing your hands on... No.
Bad stuff.
I did promise I wouldn't do this.
Anyway, the website is canlaugh.com/nerdrunners. You can find all the past episodes on there, and there's also a contact form if you want to send us some lovely feedback. You can also find the episodes when we post them on Reddit, and also send us post some comments on there. Let us know what you think, and if you're trying out any of the janky stuff we're talking about, or equally if you have crazy janky cards and decks that you're using that no one else seems to be using but you love, then do let us know, because obviously the more we can spread the love of these unused cards, the more we can get them back into play. You can also email us at nerdrunnerspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with us over Twitter, I'm at MarcusFriend, and Stef is at House of Moose.
Don't you know it?
And if you want to check out our decks that we've talked about, or any of our past decks that we've mentioned on the show or played, then on Netrunner DB, I'm Marcus Friend, and Stef is Ryn, which is RYNN. All the decks we typically talk about are tagged with Nerdrunners, so you can probably search for that. Otherwise, we'll kind of post a link in the show notes to our kind of particular author-ish areas on the site, and you can check out all our decks there. And if you'd be ever so kind and drop us a few ratings and reviews on iTunes, it would mean the world to us. Obviously, we really enjoy doing the show, and we're very appreciative of all the great feedback and all the comments that we get so far. And if you want more people to naturally find the show, because I hear that's how it works, that's how every other podcast talks about the ratings and reviews on iTunes. I don't know for sure, but let's go with it. Then if you could leave some ratings and reviews, that would be great. Hopefully it'll kind of bump us up the search a little bit. And if someone's thinking, oh, this Netrunner thing's awesome, I should search for a podcast, and then hopefully they'll see ours and listen to it, and then we'll get them into the jank, and it'd be great. And as well, just tell a friend. recommend. Yeah, hey, this podcast's great. Listen to it. These two guys know their shit, and equally don't know their shit. Don't trust
exactly.
them.
Thank you. I was going to say.
That's everything to plug. Man, it feels like that list is getting longer every time I do it. Maybe it's some, elaborating and bullshitting even more every time.
I probably.
So that's it for this week's show. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you in about 2 weeks' time. So,
thanks, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye. I often think that we should move to Germany, because apparently we would fit in quite well there.
I think Bergen's in Norway.
We'll skip over that.
Yep.
We'll edit this out. I should have Googled it before fucking... Alright, look. Start again. If you include this, I will kill you.